Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukham karoti vachanam pangam nangyate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurudina Taranam Paramanandam Madhavam. Hare Krishna, thank you for joining. We will resume our discussion from 4:30:19. So quick recap in terms of where we are, that from verses 8 onwards is the Lord speaking to the Prachetas, and he expresses his pleasure at the friendly relationship between the Prachetas, and the Lord glorifies their friendship, saying that anybody who remembers you will develop close friendship. And then the Lord glorifies Rudra Gita. Then he glorifies their submissive attitude towards the Father and Lord Shiva. And then the Lord gives them a benediction. The original reason why they went there was to get a son. So he said, you will have a famous son. He said, you will marry Marisha, the daughter of Kandru. And so that's the benediction that he gives. All of you will marry the same girl, but there will be no strife because you are all friendly to one another. You all have the same nature, and the girl also has the same nature. That she is also submissive to elders. She's also service oriented. So no strife. And then he says that you will enjoy the facilities, material facilities, for 1,000,000 celestial years, right? And after that, you will go back to Godhead. So these are all the benedictions that the Lord has given. Now he continues giving benedictions to the Prachetas. So we resume from verse 19. Griheshva vishetam chapi pumsham kushal karmana madvartaya tayamana na bandhaya grahamataha. Those who are engaged in auspicious activities and devotional service certainly understand that the ultimate enjoyer or beneficiary of all activities is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, one acts, he offers the results to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and passes life always engaged in the topics of the Lord. Even though such a person may be participating in family life, he is not affected by the results of his actions. So the Prachetas may be worried that the Lord has given them the benediction of enjoying material life for 1,000,000 celestial years. And also that they will have a very beautiful and a qualified wife. And also that they will have a son. And also the fact that they are kings by nature. They're Kshatriyas. So they are rulers. So all these are things that can bewilder a person. And case in point is that the father of the Prachetas, Prachina Barisha, he was in that situation. He was addicted to Karmakand. very much into the material aspect of the Vedas and enjoyment. So in this verse, the Lord is explicitly allaying the fears of the Prachetas. So Vishwanath Chakravarti, he gives 7 points to indicate how the Lord has pacified the fear of the Prachetas. He develops that theme. So Vishwanath Chakravarti says that the Prachetas might think that enjoyment which produces karma. Right? So enjoyment that is material will produce more material reactions. So the Prachetas might think that enjoyment which produces karma is equivalent to hell because it is the cause of bondage. So such activities are deemed to be unfavorable to bhakti. And because bhakti is a manifestation of the Lord's mercy, one can make this conclusion that such activities are not coming from the Lord's mercies, material activities, even though pious material activities. But now the Lord is saying, and now he's not explicitly saying which Chakravarti is interpolating. Now the Lord is saying that your enjoyment on the earth is my mercy because I have asked you to do it. And the symptom of the Lord's mercy is that it cannot cause anything unfavorable. So having established that material activities are unfavorable, the conclusion is that the order of the Lord will only increase bhakti but not cause bondage. And then he says that there is a lot of precedence for this. Prithu Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, King Janak, Dhruva, Vaivastha Manu, Ikshvaku, they're all cases where they got benedictions from the Lord to so seemingly enjoy on the material world, but they all achieved perfections. So the Prachetas might still say, but these are pure devotees. We have material impurities. And then the Lord, he refutes that, saying that the nature of my mercy is that material impurities are no impediments to it. Because by my mercy, I take away that enjoyment that is an impediment to bhakti. And there's the verse in 10th canto 88 where Krishna says that I take away everything until the person becomes dependent upon me. So the example is Bali Maharaj, that he had so many things. He had wealth, he had fame, prowess. He was very proud of his charitable disposition. And the Lord took everything away because they were all impediments to his bhakti. So the conclusion is that whether the Lord gives or the Lord takes away, the result is the same. It's the sign of his mercy, and mercy is manifested as bhakti. So here the Lord is giving to the Prachetas 1 million celestial year of enjoyment. It is on the same platform as the Lord taking away everything from Bali Maharaj. Both of them resulted in the person coming close to the Lord. So this is how Vishwanath Chakravarti says that this verse that is spoken by the Lord, it allays this implicit fears in the minds of the Prachetas. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada gives actually some references to substantiate these points made by Vishwanath Chakravarti Pad. He quotes 3.9, Yagyatharth Karmano Nyatra Lokoyam Karmandana, that one who offers the results to the Lord will never get entangled in the results. And then he quotes Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that if one engages in the service of the Lord through life or wealth or words or intelligence, he will always be liberated. And then he quotes Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, that if one is so expert that he can engage everything in the service of the Lord, then to give up material world would be a great blunder. And this is the companion verse to the Anasaktasya Yuktam verse of Yukta Vairagya. The companion verse says that one who prematurely gives up material objects, considering them to be an obstacle, but not understanding that they could be used in the service of the Lord, should be considered to be not very intelligent. And then finally, Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada quotes 319, Tasmad Asakta Satatam, that without being attached to the fruits, one should act as a matter of duty. So essentially, these four references Prabhupada gives to substantiate the point that material activities, material luxuries, obstacles, they are not an obstacle to bhakti. The material mentality is the obstacle to bhakti. And in case of the Prachetas, because they're getting all this by the mercy of the Lord, and the mercy of the Lord will always result in bhakti, they don't have to be worried about material entanglement. Okay, so let's go to verse 20. Navya Dridaya Yajkyo Brahmetan Brahmavadivi Namuyanti na sochanti na hrisyanti yato gataha. Sayan Prabhu, can you read the translation? Do you have the verse in front of you?
Always engaging in the activities of devotional service, devotees feel ever increasingly fresh and new in all their activities. The all-knower, the super soul within the heart of the devotee, makes everything increasingly fresh. This is known as the Brahman position by the advocate of the absolute truth. In such a liberated stage, Brahma Bhuta, one is never bewildered, nor does one lament or become unnecessarily jubilant. This is due to the Brahma Bhuta situation.
So despite the assurances that the Lord has given in the previous verse, the Prachetas may still have some fear, because material energy is very strong. So they might say, we have your benediction, we have your mercy, but we are very weak, and material energy is very strong. So we may still stumble. So the Lord speaks this word where he says that the all-knower, the super soul within the heart, makes everything increasingly fresh. So essentially what he's saying is that you're not on your own. I will be there with you every step of the way as the super soul. I will be guiding you from within. You have my mercy from without, but from within you have my constant companionship and guidance. So this is the real mercy of the Lord, that even though the jiva may be purified, but he may still be fallible. And to protect the jiva, the Lord is there as the super soul to help in all circumstances. Right? Krishna says in 10:10 that Tesham satata yuktana bhajatam tripitu, that I give the understanding by which they come to me. Right? So the verse is describing devotees were constantly engaged. So at a very advanced stage of bhakti. But Krishna is still there, accompanying them, constantly giving them the intelligence by which they can make progress. Similarly, 9:22, Krishna says, Yoga Shema Mahamya, right? That I will supply what they lack and I will preserve what they have. Right? That is Yoga Shema. Yoga Shema means that if the devotees, whatever they have, I will make sure it does not go away. And whatever they lack, I will provide it. So that is Yoga Shema. Now comes Vahamyaham. Vahamyaham means that I will carry the load of the responsibilities of maintaining my devotees with great love. Right? So when he says Yoga Shema Vahamyaham, the first part of the verse is he's saying that that I'm preserving and supplying preserving what they have and supplying what they lack. And then Vahamyaham means that I do this with great pleasure. So it's not that the Lord is resentful that, oh, this devotee, he needs so much of hand-holding, he keeps slipping back, I have to keep supplying him more and more situations, opportunities, he does not take them. The Lord never gives up. It's like if you're driving in a car and you have a GPS, if you take a wrong turn, then the GPS will start giving you new directions. Now, if you don't follow that direction and take another turn, the GPS will again give you more directions. If you keep not following the GPS directions, the GPS will not give up on you. It will still trying to give you the directions to get back where you need to be. That's the mood of the Lord. He does not give up. He keeps trying to correct. So Prachetas have been given this assurance that even if, now firstly, the mercy of the Lord is infallible, but even if you're not able to take it, I am there. I am there as Yoga Shema. And I do it Vahamya. I do it with great pleasure. Now, one may say that the super soul is supposed to be neutral. So why is it doing Yoga Shema? And Prabhupada in the purport writes that he quotes Jiva Goswami. So he says that in this connection, the super soul, the plenary expansion, exists in everyone's heart. But in the heart of the devotee, he reveals himself as ever increasingly new. Being inspired by him, the devotee experiences increased transcendental bliss. So this is actually a manifestation of the neutrality of the super soul. So the super soul is neutral, not passive. There's a difference between the two. Sometimes people confuse neutrality with being passive. Neutrality means that the Lord as the super soul reciprocates in proportion. So when the devotees are seeking the Lord more, the Lord reciprocates more so. And that's the point Jiva Goswami is saying. It's not impinging on the neutrality of the super soul. If anything, It is establishing the neutrality of this person. So, at the beginning of this chapter, Vidur had asked Maitreya, what were the achievements of the Prachetas? From the third verse onwards, it was stated that they chanted the Rudra Gita for 10,000 years, and then the Lord appeared. The Lord first appreciated the spirit of cooperation, and Srila Prabhupada knows the difference of opinions in advanced devotees. It serves to increase the service. So the point that is being made over here is that the Lord is glorifying the fact that these Prachetas, they have similar, they're strong in cooperation, right? They're very similarly minded. But it does not mean that they lack independence of opinions. The difference is that in advanced devotees, it serves to increase the service. Because of difference in opinions, there are more creative ways to serve. But in neophytes, it is a symptom of false ego. I was listening to a lecture where they said neophytes means neophytes, F-I-G-H-T-S. That they are new, so they fight all the time. In Ramayana, when Vibhishan came to take shelter of Lord Ram, there was a discussion. So Lord Ram, even though personality of Godhead, but he was always seeking advice from his associates. So Lord Ram said, what should I do? He's come to ask me for shelter. And Hanuman immediately says that I know that he's a devotee, because Hanuman had come across Vibhishan when initially he was in Lanka, right? So he had gone to his house. He had seen that on his walls was written Ram, and he was chanting. So he said, I've seen him, he's sincere, so you accept him. Then Sugriv immediately disagrees. And he says that, but he's the brother of Ravan. Blood runs thicker than water. And he's probably come to spy. He's an Asura, he's a Rakshasa. So don't give him shelter. Now, the intentions of the opinions of Sugriv and Hanuman were opposite, but their intentions was the same. Both of them wanted to serve Lord Ram, and they were evaluating the situation differently. So Lord Ram accepted both the proposals in consideration. So he did not condemn Vibhishan saying that you have too much malice in you. Did not condemn Sugriv saying you have too much malice in you. He understood that Sugriv's opinion was also a symptom of his desire to serve, right? And then finally, what does Lord Ram say? He says, forget about Vibhishan. Even if Raman had come to me asking for shelter, I would have given him shelter. And as soon as Sugriv hears this, he immediately says Jai. So he immediately accepts the verdict of Lord Ram. So there was no attachment in Sugriv to his proposal, that my proposal was rejected. There was no envy in him towards Hanuman, that Hanuman gets to be right and I get to be wrong. I am the king and he's just a minister. There was no envy in there. All that was, there was service to the Lord. Similarly, Hanuman did not feel proud that, I'm superior to Sugriv. The Lord accepted my proposal, just as Sugriv did not become disappointed, right? And the Lord openly expressed his love and appreciation for both Hanuman and Sugriv. They continued in their roles. Sugriv as a king and Hanuman and his minister with the same harmony. Right? So this is the real unity in coming together to serve the Lord. So unity does not mean having the same voice. Unity means having the same conception. If everybody had the same voice, then it would be very boring, and there would be no opportunities for doing new things or exploring new avenues. Srila Prabhupada would often have his disciples challenge him. That ask me this question, ask me that question. And sometimes he would chastise them. That you accept defeat too early, too quickly. That I think in his book, The Perfect Master, forget the name of the disciple. Forget his name, but he writes that he was very submissive to Prabhupada. What Prabhupada would say, unlike the Malkish Maharaj and some of the other sannyasis who were like always putting up a good fight, he was very submissive. And Prabhupada would sometimes tease him that you're too submissive, you're no fun. So in this verse, the Lord is previously the Lord had given the benediction that if anyone remembers the prachetas, they will develop good relationship with others. So the remembrance of the devotees is so potent, because when one meditates on the devotees, then one also meditates on the paraphernalia around the devotees. How did the Lord benedict them? What happened? What was the qualities that the Lord appreciated? How did it manifest later on? And when you meditate on the quality, then you will begin to develop the same quality. And Bhakti Vaibhava Thakur makes this point that to develop a good quality, you start meditating on it, and that's the beginning of it. Okay, moving on to verse 21. Maitre vacha eva mruva. Okay, it's a different bit. Evam brvanam pusharta bhajanam janadhanam prajanalya pracetasaha taddarshan dvashta tamorajo mala gira granan gadgadya suhuratmam.
The great sage Maitreya said, after the personality of Godhead spoke thus, the prachetas began to offer him prayers. The Lord is the bestower of all success in life and is a supreme benefactor. He is also the supreme friend who takes away all miserable conditions experienced by a devotee. In a flattering voice, due to ecstasy, the prachetas began to offer prayers. They were purified by the presence of the Lord who was before them face to face.
So the previous verse was the end of the benedictions by the Lord. After that, he goes silent. And Maitra Muni, now he's reciting this, he's speaking this pastime together. So he now says that now the prachetas begin to offer him prayers. So Maitreya also, he presents the essence of the benedictions. He says that the Lord is the bestower of all success in life and the supreme benefactor. So supreme benefactor is the Lord is guiding one towards devotional service. All success is material as well as spiritual. Right? That's what we see the flow coming in. So Maitreya is summarizing it. He said he's also the supreme friend who takes away all miserable conditions. So what is miserable condition for a devotee? Being away from the association of the Lord and his devotees. Right? So in his benedictions, the Lord is also assuring the prachetas that they will never be subjected to these conditions. So Maitreya has done a high-level summary of the Lord's benediction, and now the attention is to the prachetas. So Maitreya describes the Lord as Purushartha Bhajana, the bestower of the ultimate goal of life. So whatever success one attains is by the mercy of the Lord. So because the Lord appeared before the prachetas, one can assume that all contamination of material qualities of Rajas and Tamas had already been disappeared. By the presence of the Lord, the prachetas became free of grief. So Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that the prachetas were already purified due to the Lord's presence before them, and they could therefore offer the proper prayers with folded hands. In other words, as soon as the devotee is engaged in devotional service, they become transcendental to all material contamination, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Sargunan samityetan brahma bhuyate kalpatim. Sometimes the devotees are dissatisfied due to not seeing the personality of Godhead personally. When the prachetas saw the Lord, their unhappiness vanished. So, setting the mood of the prayers by the prachetas. So what is the situation of the prachetas? They are free of material contamination because of their own austerities, because of the presence of the Lord. They are joyful because they had been praying to the Lord, and now the Lord is in front of them. So now we will do the prayers by the prachetas. One of the famous prayers. 4:30:22. Prachetas uchu namo nama klesh vinashaya nirupito dara gunavayaya mano vacho vega purojavya sarvakshmarge ragatadhane namaha.
The prachetas spoke as follows: Dear Lord, you relieve all kind of material distress. Your magnanimous transcendental qualities and the holy name are all auspicious. This conclusion is already settled. You can go further than the speed of mind, the speed of mind and word. You cannot be perceived by material senses. We therefore offer you respectful obeisances again and again.
So from this one onwards, for the next 11 verses, the prachetas will offer obeisances to the Lord in the prayers. So we see that the word nama is used 3 times in the verse to denote or glorify 4 qualities of the Lord. So namo nama klesha vinashanaya. So klesha vinashanaya is so kleshas are distress, generally material distress. Like there is the 3 kinds of kleshas, adhyatmika, daivika, bhutik. So the Lord is klesh vinashanaya, that he is the destroyer of material distress. He is udar guna. Udar guna means one whose great quality and names are described in the Vedas. Then he is manovacho veg puro javaya, that he is quicker than the mind and the senses. So what does this mean? That is beyond material speculation. Because with the mind, a person speculates, manovacho veg puro, like with the mind, people converse with one another. So he's beyond the ability of one's thinking and speaking. And sarvaksha marger agata dhvane, that he is adhokshaja, he cannot be perceived by material senses. So he is beyond both internal and external senses. Right? So previous Manovachaveka was that he is beyond the mind and the senses, and now that he is beyond the perception of the material senses. Right? So the Lord is inconceivable to all sensual activities, whether internal or external. In Chaitanya Charitamrita and the Madhya Leela, this is 17th chapter, it is a quote from actually Govind Leela Amrita, where the male parrot says that the glorification of Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, is beneficial to everyone in the universe. His beauty is victorious over the gopis of Vrindavan, and it subdues their patience. His pastimes astound the goddess of fortune, and his bodily strength turns Govardhan hill into a small toy like a ball. His spotless qualities are unlimited, and his behavior satisfies everyone. Lord Krishna is attractive to everyone. Oh, may our Lord maintain the whole universe. So a more poetic way of making the same points that is being made more philosophically over here. Then in the word nirupita is used. Nirupita dara gunahavya. Right? So nirupita means concluded, and it's a significant word in the verse because by so many pastimes the Lord has demonstrated his quality of being merciful. Right? So whether his benedictions to Putana or giving a second chance to Ajamel, so the conclusion is there that the Lord is guna ahavyaya. Ahavyaya means that he is the most magnanimous. So Srila Prabhupada connects these two to make the point that only by the mercy of the Lord can he be approached. The mercy of the Lord travels faster than the speed of mind or speech. The Lord is more eager to show his mercy on us, receive it. His steps are bigger. His eagerness is greater. So the Prachetas say that this is nirupita, that this has been conclusively proven that the Lord is guna ahavyaya, that he is the most magnanimous. There is no need to debate on this or speculate. Prabhupada also notes that empirical observations can never be used to derive conclusions about the Lord, since he is beyond everything, beyond the senses, he is beyond knowledge. In the Bhagavad Gita, he says, Vedesa che sarver aham eva veda. That he is described in the Vedas, but does not mean that he could be understood through the Vedas. The only way to understand him is by his mercy, and one gets his mercy by rendering service to him. Sevamukhe jivadu swayameva sprudhyate. So while the Lord is inconceivable, he makes himself conceivable when he is attracted by the devotion of the devotees. Okay, I'll do one more verse. After that, we can stop for discussion. Verse 23. Shudhaya Shantaya Namasvanishtaya Manasya Partham Vilasadvayaya Namo Jagatstana Layodayeshu Grihitamaya Guna Vigraya.
Dear Lord, we beg to offer our obeisances unto you. When the mind is fixed upon you, the world of duality, although a place for material enjoyment, appear meaningless. Your transcendental form is full of transcendental bliss. We therefore offer our respects unto you. Your appearances as Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva are meant for the purpose of creating, maintaining, and annihilating this cosmic manifestation.
So you see that the Prachetas are following this format of prayers. Now, at this point, there is only the Lord and the Prachetas. And the Lord knows all this about himself. But they're saying it for their own purification. So the Lord had asked them, so after the Lord had given the benedictions, he was still standing to give more benedictions. But then the Prachetas are not going to simply ask for benedictions. So first they want to glorify the Lord for their own satisfaction and for their own purification. And so that's why now, first they're glorifying the qualities of the Lord. So they say the Lord is Shudhaya, that he is pure, Shantaya, that he is peaceful, and Swanisthaya, that he is self-satisfied. And when they end the prayers, they will once again repeat these qualities, just to summarize. And so, what does they say? That Dvayaya means duality in the material world. It appears to be real, even though it is apartha, even though it is without any meaning, even though it does not exist. Because that's the way the Lord has made it happen. Even that is the greatness of the Lord. He is the creator, maintainer, and destroyer of the material world. How does he do it? Grihita. He accepts Vigraya. Vigraya means that he accepts the forms of Maya Guna. Maya Guna means the modes of material nature. So this is essentially indicating that the Lord appears as Brahma, Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva, in order to, for the purpose of creating, maintaining, and annihilating the material world. Prabhupada says that to maintain the three modes of material nature, the Supreme Lord takes on different forms as Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva. Unaffected by the modes of material nature, that Lord takes on different forms to create, maintain, and annihilate this cosmic manifestation. The conclusion is that although the pure devotees appears to engage in material activities in the service of the Lord, he knows very well that material enjoyment for sense gratification has no use whatever. Okay, so we'll pause here, see if there is questions or comments. Yeah, if not, then we can continue with verse 24. Namo Vishuddha Sattvaya Haraya Harimedase Vasudevaya Krishnaya Prabhave Sarvasatvatam.
Dear Lord, we offer our respectful obeisances unto you because your existence is completely independent of all material influences. Your Lordship always takes away the devotee's miserable conditions. For your brain plan how to do so. You live everywhere as Paramatma. Therefore, you are known as Vasudeva. You also accept Vasudeva as your father, and you are celebrated by the name Krishna. You are so kind that you always increase the influence of all kinds of devotees.
So in the previous verse, the Prachetas spoke about the Lord appearing or accepting the three modes and then appearing as Lord Brahma, Vishnu, and Lord Shiva. But they want to make sure that they make a distinction. They're making two distinctions. They make a distinction between Lord Vishnu and Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. So they say Lord Vishnu is different from Brahma and Shiva. So in this verse, Lord Vishnu is distinguished in the words Namo Vishuddha Sattvaya. Right? So Vishuddha Sattvaya means it's not the material mode of goodness. That is Sattvaya. But he's called Vishuddha Sattvaya. So that makes a distinction between Lord Vishnu and Brahma and Shiva. And then they also make the distinction between Krishna and Vishnu. So Prabhupada elaborates on this in the purport. So the first point that is the distinction between Lord Vishnu and Brahma and Shiva, Prabhupada says that one should therefore not think that Lord Vishnu is in the same category with Lord Brahma and Shiva. The Shastras forbid us to think in that way. And then he quotes this verse, Yastu Narayanam Devam Brahmarudrali Daivataha Samatvaneva Viksheta Sa Pashandi Bhaved Dhruvam. That one who considers Lord Vishnu to be in the same category with Devas like Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva, or who thinks that Brahma or Shiva to be equal to Lord Vishnu is to be considered as a Pashandi or a faithless. And this is very similar to the second offense or to the holy name, to consider the names of the demigods like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. Then the second distinction is between Lord Vishnu and Krishna. And Prabhupada says that the personality of Godhead is also described herein as Vasudevaya Krishnaya. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. And all Vishnu expansions are his plenary portions or portions of his plenary portions known as Swamsha and Kala. The Swamsha or direct expansion is also called Amsha. All Vishnu Tattvas are Swamsha, direct parts and parcels of the Lord. And Krishna is known as Vasudeva because he appeared in the material world as the son of Vasudeva. Similarly, he is known as Devikinandan, Yashodanandan, Nandanandan, and so on. And so that distinction is also made between Krishna and Lord Vishnu. So, interestingly, the name Vasudeva actually means Paramatma. So the Vasudev name is basically Vasudev. So Vasu means one who resides everywhere. The personality who resides everywhere, which is another name for Paramatma. But Vasudev, the son of Vasudev, is Krishna. Right? So that's why this point is made that Krishna is known as Vasudev, the son of Vasudeva. Prabhupada says similarly is Devikinandan, Yashodanandan. So in that form, it is the reference is to Krishna as the personality of Godhead. So now that the Prachetas have established the position of Krishna, that Lord Vishnu is not the mode of goodness, but Shuddha Sattva, and Lord Krishna is the original cause of Vishnu. So now the Prachetas, they glorify his kindness. So they say that you are Prabhave Sarva Sattvatam. That again and again the Lord is very much interested in increasing the influence of his devotees. That's a quality of the Lord. Then he is addressed as Hari, one who takes away all miserable conditions. And then he's also called Hari Medhase. Hari Medhase means that one who is always planning ways to deliver the conditioned soul from the clutches of Maya. So the Prachetas, now there are many ways in which the Lord can be glorified, but they're glorifying the Lord in this specific context, that the Lord has come to grant them benedictions. And they are they're currently in a material, they're pure devotees, but currently they're in a material situation. So they say that you are Prabhave Sarva Sattvatam, that you have given us this benediction for ruling for 1,000,000 celestial years, because that's your nature, that you're very much interested in increasing the influence of your devotees. And your Hari, that the most miserable condition that we could have felt was separation from you. And you have taken that away from us. And your Hari Medhasa, that you made all this arrangement, that when we were going in, your devotee Lord Shiva came, gave us the Rudra Gita. Now through us you're making arrangement. Because what happens when a great devotee rules? Then the whole kingdom becomes devotional. So you're Hari Medhasa, that you're asking us to rule for 1,000,000 years so that we can also assist you in the service of delivering the conditioned souls. Okay, going on to verse 25. Namaha Kamal Nabhaya, Namaha Kamal Maline, Namaha Kamal Padaya, Namaste Kamalekshana.
Dear Lord, we offer our respectful obeisances unto you, because from your abdomen sprouts the lotus flower, the origin of all living entities. You are always decorated with a lotus garland, and your feet resemble the lotus flower with all its fragrance. Your eyes are also like the petals of lotus flower. Therefore, we always offer our respectful obeisances unto you.
So this is very similar to another very famous prayer. Does anybody know which prayer? Or the verse in a very famous prayer?
Is that the Brahma Samhita?
Brahma Samhita. Queen Kunti's prayer.
Queen Kunti's prayer. Very good. So Queen Kunti's prayer is Namo Pankaja Nabhaya, Namo Pankaja Maline, Namo Pankaja Netraya, Namaste Pankajangrahi. Right. So the only difference is that they say Nama Kamal Nabhaya, Nama Kamal Maline, Nama Kamal Padaya, Nama Kamal Ekshana. Kunti Devi, instead of Kamal, she uses Pankaj. But very, 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 very similar. And glorifying the beauty of the Lord. Prabhupada says that Kamal Nabhaya indicates that Lord Vishnu is the origin of the material world. And then from the abdomen of Garbhodaksha Vishnu, the lotus flower sprouts, Brahma comes, and then Brahma creates the universe. So the origin of the creation is therefore Lord Vishnu. And the origin of all the Vishnu Tattvas is Krishna. Consequently, Krishna is the origin of everything as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, Aham Sarvasya Prabhu. So, now, of course, the Prachetas came much before Queen Kunti, right? Because this is the 6th Manvantara, the Chakshusha Manvantara. And Queen Kunti came much, much later on during the current Manvantara and towards the end of the Dwapar Yuga. Does not necessarily mean that one plagiarized the other's prayers. Even if they did, it's okay. That's what you're supposed to do. But it means that the glorification is very much in the same mood of appreciation of the beauty of the Lord. And as Prabhupada says that the Kamal Nabhaya also has another meaning. That it means that the Lord is as Garbhodaksha Vishnu is the source of the material world, and Garbhodaksha Vishnu comes from Krishna, which means Krishna is the source of everything. Sarvakaran Karanam. Aram Sarvasya Prabhu. Verse 26. Namaha Kamal Kinjalka Pishan Kamal Vasase Sarvabhuta Nivasaya Namo Yunakshmahi Sakshine.
Dear Lord, the garment you have put on is yellowish in color, like the saffron of lotus flower. But it is not made of anything material. Since you live in everyone's heart, you are the direct witness of all activities of all living entities. We offer our respectful obeisances unto you again and again.
So Prabhupada writes that in this verse, the dress of the Lord is described and his all-pervasive nature is described. So then he says that one should not think that here it has been described that his dress is yellow in color. It does not mean that anything that the Lord wears is material. So there is no difference between the Lord and his garments. So we know the garments of Lord are Lord Balaram, or expansion of Lord Balaram. So Prabhupada says that all these are non-different from the Lord because they are spiritual in nature. Then the word Sarvabhuta Nivashaya. It clarifies how Lord Vishnu lives in everyone's heart and acts as the direct witness of all activities of the conditioned soul. So he not only witnesses the activities, he also witnesses the thoughts and the innermost desires of the jiva. So when Krishna says Sarvasichaham Hridi Sanavishto, right? He's residing everywhere in the heart. So in the heart, the innermost thoughts and feelings are appearing. Because if the Lord had to simply witness the actions, he did not have to reside in the heart. Even personalities like Yamraj and Vayu and Surya, they are witnessing the activities. But the Lord is doing a lot more than that. He's witnessing the thoughts, which are more subtle than activities, and he's witnessing the desires, which are even more subtle than the thoughts. So this point is being made at one end to create more accountability in a person. Because what you think, you feel, what you feel, you will, and what you will, you do. So many times people say that I will not act upon it, but it's okay for me to think about it. Right? So they may think about something that is deviant, but internally they're giving themselves this reassurance that I'm just thinking about it, and this is the age of Kali. There's no sin in thinking. But actually, when the opportunity comes, then what you're thinking will become what you do. So this is creating accountability that the Lord is even witnessing what you're thinking. So better to curb it at the root level. This also gives reassurance that if the activities that the person does are misunderstood or are not completely in accordance with what he wanted to do or what the scriptures expect. But the Lord is not just witnessing the activities, He is also witnessing the intentions. So it gives assurances also that you are not going to be judged only by the externals. You were trying to do the best, maybe it did not work out that, but at least your intentions are there. That will be judged. So both the points are made. At one point, the point is made that you may fool everyone all the time, but never the Lord. Right? And the other point is being made that because the Lord is privy to your inner thoughts, so your intentions will also be taken into consideration. So it gives a greater sense of humility, integrity, accountability. So the prachetas are glorifying that aspect of the Lord. Okay, verse 27. Rupam bhagavata tveda ashesh klesha sanshayam avishkratam naha klishtana kimanyadanukampitam.
Dear Lord, we conditioned souls are always covered by ignorance in the bodily concept of life. We therefore always prefer the miserable conditions of material existence. To deliver us from these miserable conditions, you have abandoned yourself in this transcendental form. This is evidence of your unlimited causeless mercy upon those of us who are suffering in this way. What then to speak of the devotees to whom you are always so favorably disposed?
So they conclude by restating what they began with. So they glorified the Lord as Klesha Vinashnaya in verse 22. Now, once again, they are saying your Ashesha Klesha Sankshayam. Right? So same point they are reiterating. We see this trend that they tend to glorify the same qualities again. Then they say that Rupam Bhagavatat Tvedat. So Rupam is the form. It can also refer to the deity form of the Lord. So Prabhupada says in the purport that deity worship in the form of temple worship is the most valuable benediction given by the Lord to beginners. As neophytes all neophytes must therefore engage in the worship of the deity, worship of the Lord, by keeping the Archa Vigraha, Archa Avatar, at home or in the temple. So we see here that the prachetas, out of humilities, they are not considering themselves as devotees, or at least advanced devotees. So they are expressing this astonishment that why did the Lord choose to manifest Himself before us? We have no qualification. So it must be only because of His causeless mercy. So then they're extrapolating it, is that when the Lord is manifesting Himself before us who are not devotees, how much more so would He do for actual devotees? Right? So they're further glorifying the mercy of the Lord. So Prabhupada states that the mercy of the Lord, it extends to both devotees and non-devotees, though the mercy may manifest differently. The Prabhupada says that it is clearly stated in this verse that in the form Ashesha Klesha Sanshayam is meant to diminish all miserable conditions experienced in life not only by the devotees, but by all others. Aviskritam naha krishtana. The Prachetas identified themselves as common men. Kimanyad anukampita. The devotees are always favorably accepted by the Lord. The Lord shows all mercy, not only to conditioned souls, but also to the devotees who are already liberated due to their devotional service. Okay, moving on to the next verse, 28. Etavatvam me vibhuvira bhavyam dineshu vatsalaha yad anusmaryate kale swabuddhya bhadrarandhana.
Dear Lord, you are the killer of all inauspicious things. You are compassionate upon your poor devotees for the expansion of your Acha Vigraha. You should certainly think of us as your eternal servant.
So vibhuti bhavyam, vibhur bhavyam. So vibhubihi means expansion, and bhavyam means feelings or conceptions. So Prabhupada interprets the word vibhubibhir bhavyam as your conceived expansions. So this is pointing to Acha Vigraha, or the deity form of the Lord, where the devotees, based on their conception of the Lord, they shape the deity. Now, the conception is not completely speculative, as Prabhupada would say that one must consult the scriptures as much as possible to get a sense of the description of the Lord. But one has to understand that the Lord is spiritual, and the descriptions are trying to describe something that is really beyond conception. So there is the bhavyam, there is the emotions that come in the establishment of the deity, and the deity form is one of the earliest forms of the Lord that the neophyte devotee encounters in the material world. So even before they take to chanting the holy name or reading the scriptures or serving the devotees or any of the angas, people visit temples. And when they go to temples, they will bow in front of the deities, they'll worship the deities. And then when they are a little bit more established, they will bring the deities at home, worship the deities. So the Prachetas, when they're glorifying the Lord, they consider this as one of the greatest mercy of the Lord. That when people cannot reach the Lord is reaching out to them in the deity form. And what happens to one, even if they are not initially favorably inclined towards the Lord, but if they go in front of the deity, if they worship the deity, even if it is out of cultural formality, the Lord becomes Abhadra Randhana. Abhadra means inauspiciousness, and Randhana means that he becomes the killer of inauspiciousness. Which is why Prabhupada says that every sincere devotee should accept the Archvigraha at home or in the temple and worship the Lord, as advised in the authorized scriptures and directed by the spiritual master. Okay, moving on to verse 29. Yenu pashantir bhutanam shulakanam api hatam antritontar hridaye hasmano vedana shishaha.
When the Lord, out of his natural compassion, think of his devotees, by that process only are all desires of the neophyte devotee fulfilled. The Lord is situated in every living entity's heart. Although the living entity may be very insignificant, the Lord knows everything about the living entity. including all his desires. Although we are very insignificant, why should the Lord not know our desire?
So further glorification of the compassion of the Lord, right? And the Prachetas are specifically glorifying the relationship of the Lord towards those who are starting in devotional service, the neophyte devotees. So here they say that because of the natural compassion, all the desires of the neophyte devotees are fulfilled. You don't have to be an advanced devotee. And then they say, what to speak of neophyte devotees? Everybody's desires are being fulfilled. So what does it mean? It means that because the Lord is there out of his compassion, ready to fulfill your desires, and the Lord is all powerful, it is important to ask the Lord the right thing. So again, the Prachetas, they consider themselves even lower than neophyte devotees. And based on the previous premise, they say that even though we are not even neophyte devotees, but because the Lord has so much compassion, you already know our desires, right? So they are also setting the stage for asking for the benedictions from the Lord. So Prabhupada in the purport once again makes the point that by deity worship, practicing devotees can purify the desires and pray that the Lord who is willing, who is fulfilling everyone's desires, also fulfills their desires. So the point Prabhupada makes is that if the Lord is fulfilling the desires of those who are averse to him, why will he not fulfill the desires of those who are favorable to him? So this is the Kimuta Nyaya, right? That if something is being done at a lower level, it will be done at a higher level also. So the verse is giving hope to the devotees, even though they may be new devotees. So Prabhupada says that whatever a living entity desires, however insignificant he may be, is noted by the Lord, who gives him a chance to fulfill his desires. If the desires of the non-devotees are filled, why not those of the devotees? A pure devotee simply wants to engage in the service of the Lord without material desires. And if he wants this within the core of his heart, where the Lord is situated, and if he is without ulterior motive, why should the Lord not understand? If a sincere devotee renders service to the Lord or to the Archavigraha in the form of the Lord, all his activities prove successful because the Lord is present within the heart and understands his sincerity. Thus, if a devotee with all confidence goes on discharging the prescribed duties of devotional service, he will ultimately attain success. Yeah, so it's a very comforting and encouraging purport and point that is made, especially for practicing devotees like us, that we have deities in our house. We may not be worshipping them as per all the rules and regulations that are there in the Shastras, but we are trying to worship. Now, we may not be pure devotees, but we have desire to advance that devotional life. We may not be serving to the extent that we would like, but we have desire to do that. And the point that's made is that when the Lord is fulfilling the desire of those who want to indulge in material activities, why will he not fulfill the desires of those who want to come closer to him? So the strong encouragement, especially the point is made that if you're doing deity worship at home, then that itself is so purifying that the desires that are manifesting in your heart will become more and more spiritualized. Okay, moving on to verse 30. Asaveva varosmakam ipshito jagata pate prasanno bhagavan yesham apavarga gurur gatihi.
O Lord of the universe, you are the actual teacher of the science of devotional service. We are satisfied that your Lordship is the ultimate goal of all of our life. And we pray that you will be satisfied with us. That is our benediction. We do not desire anything other than your full satisfaction.
So if you remember earlier on, this was in the 8th verse in this chapter, the Lord had asked the Prachetas to ask for a benediction. And then we see that they did not go right ahead and ask for a benediction. So they followed this prayer, format of prayers of exalted devotees, that they first began to glorify the Lord, his form and qualities. Then they glorified the qualities of the Lord in connection with his compassion on the jivas. Now, from verse 29 onwards, previous verse onwards, they are coming to specifics. Like earlier on, it was a glorification of the Lord in general. Now they are coming to specific in their connection. And now it's talking the Prachetas and the Lord, right? They're face to face. So now they're speaking in that context. So previous verse they said that you know how insignificant we are, and you undoubtedly know our desires. So even though they say that we are satisfied, but they're still asking for a benediction. What is the benediction they're asking? Prasanna Bhagavan. That may the Lord always be happy with us. And the Lord may say, how will I be happy with you? They say that ipshito jagataha pate. That because you have established this as the ultimate goal of life. And apavarga gurur gati. That this, the Lord as the teacher of the devotional service. So diplomatically, they are asking for this benediction. They're saying that, O Lord, may you always be pleased upon us. Please bestow unto us the ultimate goal of life, which is your service. Please instruct us in the science of bhakti. Right. So this is in a more diplomatic way, in a more what's the right word? That not directly asking, but through hints, they are saying that you please be pleased upon us. You please give us your service, and you give us instructions on how to execute the service on the science of bhakti. Okay, we'll do one more verse and then we'll stop for any discussion. Verse 31. Varam vrinemahe tapi natha tvad parata para na hayanta tvad vibhutina so ananta iti giyase.
Dear Lord, we shall therefore pray for your benediction because you are the supreme, beyond all transcendence, and because there is no end to your opulences. Consequently, you are celebrated by the name Ananta.
So far the Prachetas were glorifying the Lord either in general or in specifics. Now they conclude that it is impossible for them or for anybody to glorify the Lord. So they say that given that the Lord is unlimited, Ananta, should one ask for limited benedictions? Should one go to a gold shop and ask for iron there? If a higher product is being offered, should one settle for lesser products? If the Lord can give Ananta benedictions, then why should one ask for Anta benedictions? That is not intelligence. So they are saying that your benediction should be like you. You are unlimited, eternal, and everlasting. So your benedictions should also be same. Right? So the previous benediction they asked for general. Now they're setting the stage for specific benedictions. Prabhupada in the purport writes that the devotee simply wants to be in the presence of the Supreme Lord, either in this world or in the next, and engage in his service. That is the ultimate goal and benediction for the devotees. Later he says, all this will be explained in the next verse. The Prachetas plan to ask the Lord for something that is no limit. The Lord's pastimes, qualities, forms, and names are all unlimited. There is no limit to his name, form, pastimes, creation, and paraphernalia. The living entity could not conceive of the unlimitedness of the unlimited. However, if living entities are engaged in hearing about the unlimited potency of the Supreme Lord, they are factually connected directly to the unlimited. Such understanding of the unlimited becomes unlimited by hearing and chanting. So Prabhupada is also giving us a sneak preview that will be revealed later on, that how can one get unlimited benedictions. So Prabhupada says that hearing about the unlimited is de facto unlimited. Like if you're hearing about somebody that has infinite qualities, that hearing will go on forever and ever. So that hearing is unlimited. So the clue that Prabhupada is giving is that is what they will ask for. Listening to the glories of the Supreme Lord. But the Prachetas being pure devotees, being benedicted by the presence of the Lord, they are building upon this gradually. So in the material world, there may be unlimited choices, but what they deliver is limited. They're limited by time, by body, etc. But for the Lord, even a limited service is unlimited. So even if one is sitting for 10 minutes and listening to the glories of the Lord, that is unlimited, because it is giving one access to unlimited glories of the Lord. So that's how the Prachetas are going to face their requests. Okay, I'll pause over here, see if you have any discussion.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. We say that a devotee should be humble, no? We should not ask for benediction and all that. But here, it say that we have to ask for unlimited benediction. I think in the context of maybe propagating the message of Lord Chaitanya, we can ask for unlimited benediction.
Also, humility is like following instructions. The Lord asked them to ask for benediction. Right? So, supposing somebody comes and say that ask for something, and the person says, "No, I don't need anything." It's a sign of pride in the person that I have everything. What can you give me? Right? So, the Prachetas here, they're displaying true humility. So, firstly, they're saying they're not qualified to receive benedictions because they're not even devotees. Then they say that the reason you're giving us benediction is because you're kind to non-devotees also. That's why you're giving us a benediction. Then they say that there's no need for us to ask because you already know our desires. But since you have asked us to ask, we will ask. And then they're setting the stage of the asking. So one of the names of the devotees is the devotee is Kavi, that expert. So cunning also. So you see that there is some cleverness over here, that they don't want to set the stage for something that is fallible and temporary. Right? The highest meditation they can ask is pure devotional service. So with a lot of cleverness, they're setting the stage for asking that you're magnanimous, we are not qualified, but you're magnanimous and you're unlimited, so benediction should be unlimited. And then they ask that give us two things. We'll see later on, they'll say give us two things: eternal association of devotees and continuous Krishna Katha. Right? So perfection of their ultimate goal of the perfection for non-devotees like them. I mean, they're of course not non-devotees, but that's what their understanding of perfection is.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Prabhu Hare Krishna, the Prachetas actually saw Vishnu form, right? Not Krishna.
They saw Vishnu form. Yeah.
Vishnu.
Ashtabhuja, right? 8-armed form.
Okay. Although they are glorifying Krishna also in one of the prayers.
Yeah. They're glorifying Krishna. They say Krishna, yeah, but present in front in the presence of Lord Vishnu.
Just like Queen Kunti is glorifying Krishna as a Vishnu. Namo Pankajanavaya, all those are attributed to Vishnu form.
Yeah.
So it's very interchangeably used in the prayers of the devotees.
Yeah. In the Padma Purana, it is said that one who makes a distinction between Krishna and Vishnu goes to hell.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, we studied from Tattva perspective, right? Krishna is the source, Deeparachireva, he the Santananda, one candle lasts, other candle. We studied from Tattva form, but not from the perspective of making distinction. That so if you go to Vishnu temple, you should offer same kind of obeisances, same kind of prayers.
I guess that is the thing that we have to understand. When Prabhupada speaks about the distinction, he speaks at a different level of not the material level, meaning one is higher, one is lower, that kind of understanding. But for the tattva, as you said, to understand the tattva, which we quite often bring it to our level and try to understand the tattva, and try to understand one is higher, try to think that one is higher, one is lower, like that. Similar to the 5 rasas, that 5 mellows, we think Santa, Sakya, Madhurya, and all those. We try to grade them into one is higher than the higher, but actually they are all equal in a transcendental platform. So quite often this is very for a conditioned soul like me, if I can speak for myself, it is it taken aback, and so therefore we tend to enter into arguments with other Vaishnavas, the Sri Sampradaya Vaishnavas. Oh, Krishna is the supreme, and so that is a big offense that we are committing by doing that, and we are making other people also to commit offense by saying that way.
We do. But to some extent, as you're rightly saying, we have that conditioned mentality. We try to grade things, good, better, best. And at least in terms of Vishnu Tattva, the difference is just Krishna manifesting different forms for with his devotees. So not different from Krishna. And yeah, sometimes we do. I had that experience once that I had gone to one of the temples in Pennsylvania, and it's the temple of
Pomona temple. No?
Which one?
It was not the Pomona temple where we went one time?
Pomona, yeah, you were also there, right? With us, and we got into, so it's established by the doctor, right? And we got into.
It's in New Jersey, Prabhu.
It's in New Jersey. Okay. Okay, it's been a many years ago, but he has
Yes,
the
Sri Ranganath temple, you mean?
he has the
Yeah.
Ranganath DT there.
Yeah,
Right?
Sri Ranganath.
Yeah, nice temple, nice DT.
He was an ISKCON devotee. He turned into Sri Sampadaya, I think.
Okay, I didn't know that. But I think he started, I don't know how it started, whether I started it or he started it, but he started making this distinction between Lord Vishnu and Krishna. And then I started like saying Ishvara Parama Krishna and Savai Punsha Paroda. So different quotes I started giving, and then he started giving verses. And later on, I spoke to Guru Maharaj, and he said, Maharaj said, you can write to him. If you have something to say to him, just write to him, explain to him in a humble way, which is what I did. But it was a pointless discussion, really. He was attracted to Krishna and Vishnu form, and that's how. That's how he was worshipping, and probably more advanced than me, because he was putting an enormous amount. He used to live in Boston, right? And he had put an enormous amount of his money in building the temple, and he would constantly fly down for doing surveys, etc. So definitely much more devoted to the cause.
Prabhu, according to Raghunath Das Goswami, Manasa Shiksha, he said that we should not even look at Lord Vishnu. And you only use the pro like a prostitute if we go here and there.
So the Mana Shiksha, if you remember the seminar given by Guru Maharaj, when he says that the verses are not all at the same level. They go from one level to another level to another level. So when that verse comes, then they're talking about a particular devotee who is completely devoted to Krishna's two-armed form. Right? So very, very advanced devotee, personal association of Krishna, completely devoted to Krishna's two-armed form. So it doesn't really apply to us. When we reach that stage, yes. At some point, we have to establish fidelity towards some form of Krishna. Either Krishna Swayam Bhagwan, or whatever our relationship is. But now our primary way of approaching them should be with devotion and respect.
Yeah. If we listen to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it's the same. Like, because we are followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and we should not divert our attention to. We just have to worship Krishna and chant the holy name.
Yeah. Okay. Any other thoughts, comments? Okay, if not, we'll end here. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anant Koti Vaishnavind ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanand. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.